Hello, entrepreneurs. Welcome to another episode of Entrepreneur Fundamentals. My name is Robert Bitto. This show is going to be dedicated to millennials. I know a lot of you out there are under 30 or even under 25, and you're surfing around the internet looking for business advice. And I have less than 200 subscribers to this channel, and I think most of you are a lot younger than I am. Today, I turned 49 years old, and I know to a lot of you that is really, really old. And you know what? I guess when I was 25 or 30 or even 35, I didn't imagine what my life would be like at this age, at 49. But birthdays are always a good time to reflect on the past and to look towards the future. And that's what I'm going to be doing with this video. So, millennials, you're living in your mother's basement. You have $130,000 worth of college debt. You're very liberal. You're social justice warriors. And you're nihilistic because you don't see a future for yourself. That's what we're told. Well, maybe some of you are still living at home at age 26. And that sucks because I was out of the house at, 20 or something. But that's the way things are done these days. Everybody is getting a slower start. That has to do a lot with the economy. Most of what I'm going to talk about is the economy today and what I think is going to happen. You know, for years and years and years, I've heard so much gloom and doom. Oh, everything is going to crash. The dollar is going to crash. You know, America's going to be turned into a third world country by the powers that be. Now the latest is Trump is going to crash the dollar. All of this stuff, to me, it never really made sense. I've always kept my ears open and my eyes open, and I always integrate all this information into my whole big pool of information that I use or that I have. And so I've been hearing this forever, and you know what? I don't think it's going to happen. And millennials, the future is yours. You may be living in your mother's basement, or you may be suffering under college debt, or you might feel screwed by the system, but you're going to be presiding over a golden age. Now, what the heck do I mean by that? Now, a lot of these people who are demographers or, predictors of the future, or these economists or whatever, say, oh, we've been in this kind of sluggish period for a while, and things are not going to get better. There needs to be a big crash, or, this is the new normal. But you know what? If you look at the numbers, they tell a different story. I think we are on the verge of the biggest economic boom in the history of the world here in the United States. Now, why do I say that? When people say we're falling off a demographic cliff, people aren't having babies like they used to. Well, that may be the case now. Right now, not a lot of people might not be having kids. I haven't really looked at the numbers for the people being born the past few years. I know some basic numbers that I'm going to share with you. I belong to the generation called Generation X. We were called slackers too. I mean, I heard that all the time. I was like, what, slacker? I'm 24 years old. I have 3 college degrees. All I want to do is work. I'm not a slacker. I didn't know very many slackers, but we were told that too. And we were told that, oh, you don't have as much as your parents because you didn't work as hard as your parents. No, I think the generation before me had it easy for the same reason why in about 5 years you will have it easy too. And I will too. My 50s are going to look amazing. I can't wait. And I'm very healthy, and I bounce out of bed like a 13-year-old boy. And I always say I feel like a 13-year-old kid, but with resources. So my 50s are going to be great, and millennials, your young and mid-adulthood is going to be fantastic. Now, why do I say that? Why am I saying all this stuff when everybody is so gloom and doom and all of this, we can't pay our liabilities and all of this stuff? I'm looking at numbers of generations here. Okay, the baby boomers post-World War II to about 1964, That's the baby boom generation. They were around 65 million people. Generation X, my generation, 1965 to 1984, I'm in the early part of that. I was born in 1968. But that generation had 55 million people in it. Okay, so what happened is there was a demographic dip, and this happens a lot. There was a demographic dip that happened in the late 60s through the 70s and into the beginning of the 80s. And you see this effect happening across time. Okay, I'll put this in the context of my business. The peak of the baby boom was in 1957. So when I opened my business in 1999, those peak baby boomers were turning 42 years old. I was selling furniture, housewares, and stuff like that. I was focusing on bigger items than what I sell now. And I was doing fine. The late 90s, you talk to everybody, oh yeah, that was great. The late 90s, the Clinton era, you give the president credit when it's not the president that's doing any of this. It's numbers of people. That's it. It's simple. Okay, so they were 42 in 1999 when I opened up my very first store. And that's about almost the peak time of when you're done furnishing your house. So I had some more baby boomers, but it died off. And I saw my sales drop off for the bigger items as the baby boomers got done furnishing their homes and got sick of buying tchotchkes and things for their house. Now, my generation was coming up, but there were less of us. So there were less people buying homes. There were less people furnishing their homes. I sell imports from Latin America, housewares, and like I said at the beginning, I was selling bigger items, furnitures, large pottery for outdoors and stuff like that. As the baby boom generation declined and my generation came up, there was less of a customer base. And I was like, what is this? September 11th? What happened? Why is everything going down? And why am I in the Sargasso Sea of my business? Why were the late 90s, early 2000s so good? It's a numbers game. There were a lot less people just starting out. Now here we have the millennials. The millennial generation starts in 1985, more or less. They've had a late start. So the earliest millennials are now 32 years old, 31, 32 years old. You move out of your parents at 26, so most of the millennials are still not out of their parents. These people are going to need homes and all that stuff. When they start moving out of their parents' house, they're going to need a whole bunch of stuff, housing primarily. Well, okay, let's go back to the numbers of the generations. 65 million baby boomers, about 55 million in my generation, Generation X. What is the millennial generation? How many people are in the millennial generation? Does anyone know? Almost 83 million. 83 million. This generation, which is now just starting to come of age, is the largest generation in American history. They're not going to be fighting over table scraps. They're going to be creating businesses. They're going to want houses. They're going to start families. They're going to do the American dream like every other generation has done before them. And they are going to be Americans. A lot of them are sons and daughters of immigrants, but so what? That's happened before. And America is a big meat grinder when it comes to culture. People are all up in arms. Oh, look at all of these foreigners, and some of them are browner than me, and they have a different religion. Sorry, I don't think America will grind them into a sausage grinder, and they will be Americans just like you. 3 of my grandparents did not speak English, and look at me. I'm pretty damn good with English. Or do I speak it well? How do you say that? Well, you know what I mean. I'm pure American. I may look ethnic, and I have a lot of different ethnic components to my background, but I'm American. Western European value-based American. And these people too, they're going to be doing everything that everybody else has done. And you know what? We're still going to be using pounds and miles, and we're not going to, America is going to keep its culture. So we are going to have such a boom because all of these people are going to be coming of age. It's going to be starting in about 3 years, I'd say, around 2020, because then a lot of the millennials are going to be 35, and then a whole bunch of them will be 25 to 35. You're going to see things take off. And then, like I said, as with Clinton, with Bill Clinton, people will be looking at the president. And for those of you who hate Trump, Trump is going to get credit for this, but it has nothing to do with him. Very little. Okay, he may relax some things here and there and some regulations and stuff like that, but nothing is going to stop these numbers. It's going to be a tidal wave of people in the United States. Okay, so we have this tidal wave of people. What do you do? There's going to be so many opportunities for entrepreneurs. I can't even imagine what it's going to be like. There's going to be a lot of abundance in this country once again. After this, as I use the term, Sargasso Sea of my generation, these doldrums that we've had since about the late 90s, as my generation became of age, and we're all wondering what happened to the economy. But the immediate future is going to be so incredibly bright. It's going to be a great time to be alive in America. And I would say the biggest piece of advice that I could give you is buy property. Even in little places where you might not think the property value will increase, because all of these people are going to be needing housing. That's going to be a big thing. And also, along with this property thing, I would say commercial property is not off the table. Because even though these big box stores and these brick and mortar stores are going out of business left and right, those buildings are still there. They're going to be converted into housing. That J.C. Penney's, that Macy's, whatever, that Piggly Wiggly. Well, no, that's a grocery store. Mostly those big retail places, even strip malls, will either be mowed down and condos will come up in their place, or they'll be converted. So that old JCPenney could be some really cool, loft apartments or whatever in the future. So I wouldn't neglect commercial property. And then I would say, if you want to invest like in stocks, tech stocks, I think will always do well. All this stuff related to space, however, pass on it. We're not going to Mars. We're not going to have a colony on the moon or Mars. It's not going to happen. And you heard it here first. It is not going to happen. And there are going to be companies that are going to do space tourism and all this stuff. No. We're stuck here. Not going to happen. And there are a lot of reasons for that. And the truth will come out soon enough, but I'm not going to talk about that here. Don't invest in these space companies. It's not going to pan out. Be more terrestrial, and you'll do great. So, millennials, figure out what you're good at, what makes you weird, what you like doing, and parlay it into a business. If it has to do with stuff around the home, I think my business is going to pick up because I sell like housewares and stuff. If you're into renovating or, providing anything to do with a home, that's going to really be in demand. But everything else is going to be in demand too, because there'll be more money to go around and people will have a lot to spend. It's going to be, like I said, the biggest economic boom that the world has ever seen. And stay healthy so you can enjoy it. Okay? It's going to be the 2020s. It's going to be absolutely amazing. So plan now for what's going to come. And forget all these naysayers and all of this stuff. We'll have corrections, maybe little corrections here and there. The stock market might drop a little bit this year or something like that. Some BS. But, well, the future's so bright, right? There was a song when I was in college, the future's so bright, I gotta wear shades. I don't even know who sung that. Is that Timbuktu or something? I don't know. But anyway, I'll wrap this up. I'm already at 15 minutes. So, fear not, plan for a bright future. You're going to have to work hard, remember that. You don't get away from that. You have to work hard, but you can create something fantastic, fantastic that comes from here, comes from here. You can do it. And that's all I have to say for now. Remember to always work hard, and may all of your entrepreneurial dreams come true.